What is up, everybody? My name is Pierce, and today we got Cage Warriors 148 predictions and betting tips. We got Cage Warriors going down December 31st. Should be a fun day of fights. Really looking forward to it. Got some good fights, and I got some good predictions that I feel like can make us some money this weekend with some bets. But we will start off in the first fight of the night. We got a featherweight bout against Samuel Bark and Orlando Wilson Prins. All right, so we'll start off with Orlando Wilson Prins. So this is a fun fight to start tonight. And we got Orlando Wilson Prins. He's fighting, I believe he's a Dutch kickboxer and he's fighting at Root MMA. He's actually the head coach of the gym. And if you see in the Cage Warriors post, anytime they post about Wilson Prins, it's always you see his teammates in the comment section going to war with the Samuel Bark fans, which is funny to watch. But in regards to Orlando Wilson Prins, he is a Dutch kickboxer, but I would say he's gonna have to go with the grappling here. Kickboxing ain't gonna work against Samuel Bark. But Prins, he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I mean, he's got decent grappling. I mean, I feel like his wrestling leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, there's only two fights of tape I've seen on him. It's the Shakirov fight and the Tom Mearns fight. And then talking about the Shakirov fight, I mean, he did get some takedowns. I guess he showed a decent trip takedown, but it's hard to really get a gauge on his grappling because it's like the Shakirov dude's 0-0. And it's like, I think might be a German guy, but I just don't know how good that Shakirov dude is. And I mean, you talk about his Mearns fight in Cage Warriors. I mean, how's not for someone that is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you're getting taken down and held down by Tom Mearns, who isn't the worst guy, but like he's kind of a Cage Warriors jobber, but not a good look for Prince here. I mean, on the feet, I mean, he's got solid kicks with his lead leg. I mean, I've seen him throw a bleed kick. He's got a decent head kick. His kicks are all right. He kind of likes to dance around, keep it cute at kicking range. But I mean, I don't think the kickboxing is going to win him the fight here. If he wants to beat Samuel Bark, he's going to have to grapple here. And I mean, in regards to Samuel Bark, Simon Deckers, shout out to Ramon Deckers, one of the best to ever do it. But I mean, we got Samuel Bark looking to make it 7 fights in 2022, looking to go 6-1 on the year. Pretty fucking impressive. He's kind of really blown up on the scene recently. But for some of you Muay Thai fans, Samuel Barks, I don't know how many Muay Thai fights he has. I think it was like something like 80 plus. But this dude's a Muay Thai fucking specialist. I'll tell you what. On the feet, Bark, he's got an amazing switch kick to the body. His body kicks are fucking vicious, but he's really just trying to crash the pocket, get into the Muay Thai clinch. I really like his clinch knees. Very fucking good from the clinch. So if you're like hanging out in the clinch with Samuel Bark, your body's gonna get fucking chewed the fuck up. But I will say, when you talk about what's a holes in Samuel Bark's game, he can get taken down. He kind of like sometimes he'll crash into the pocket and just end up on the ground because he's a little too over aggressive to get into the clinch. But I will say, like, if he does get taken down, he has a lot of urgency. He does fight up to the feet very quickly. It's not like he's sitting on his back for the whole fight. Like he's working his way up. And when people are trying to take him down, he's trying to throw punches as well in exchanges. So he's always trying to stay active, do volume. So it's like Bark. I mean, even this fight that was a split decision. I mean, he could have won that fight very easily, but he's a good fighter. I think his Muay Thai is very fucking good. And I mean, in this fight, I think Bark might get taken down early, but I mean, I think he can work his way up, and I think he's gonna put the pace on Prins, and I think his Muay Thai is gonna break Prins. And I'm hard not to say Samuel Bark by first round KO with knees to the body into ground and pound. But it's a good fight. It's a great fight to start the night. I mean, you look at the odds; it's minus 550 Samuel Bark. I mean, I'm not one to advise putting a lot of money on Samuel Bark at minus 500. I mean, I get why he's a big favorite. He's definitely the hotter fighter. He's got a lot of momentum right now, but I'd be interested to see what the under is. I feel like it's a great under fight. It's either going to be Prince submission or Bark KO. But if we can get an under 2.5, slam the fuck out that line. But we got the next fight of the night. Omiel Brown versus Junior Urgolho. This is a short notice fight. It just got put together actually this week. And we'll talk about the Urgolho side. You know, we got Urgolho. If you look here in this fight, it might have been hard to find the Murad Abdullah fight. Abdullayev. He was actually goes by the name Alfredo Souza. But that's regardless of that, you to talk about that fight. I mean, he kind of just got like beat up for 3 rounds by a Murad. I mean, Orgalho, like he's like kind of plotted. He's just plodding around the whole fight. I mean, he showed some decent kicks that fight. I mean, he's got decent leg kicks, I guess. But like, I don't know. There was just a lot to be desired in that fight. It was like he kind of just got beat up that whole fight. And then you talk about. I also saw film on this Casio de Oliveira fight, which in my opinion, man, that's not a good look as well. Casio was kind of dropping him, and I've seen in a couple of his fights, Orgalho does get dropped a lot. His durability is a bit of a question mark. I mean, even in this fight, his recent fight against this Kamzin dude, he got dropped and finished with ground and pound. So it's like he's a bit fragile. I'm not gonna lie. And I mean, we'll go to his opponent, Omiel Brown. So Omiel Brown, he's practically grown up in Cage Warriors. He's got 5 fights, all under the Cage Warriors banner. 1 loss, 4-1. Did lose to James Sheehan by split decision. It was a close fight. I mean, Sheehan should have probably won that fight. Brown kind of just slowed down the stretch. I mean, James Sheehan, for those of y'all familiar with him, he's a good fighter. Not the worst loss to have. And then, I mean, what does Brown do well? So I will say he does have a good power guillotine. I will say if he gets taken down, he's kind of good at using that guillotine to reverse or find his way back up to the feet with it. And on the feet, he's a southpaw striker. He's got a lot of power in his hands. I will say he does rip the body pretty well. Got good power hooks. So it's like on the feet, I mean, Orgalho might be. I can't help but see Orgalho kind of like plod back against the cage. Omiel Brown rips to the body, throws power hooks. It's hard not to see Omiel Brown not get the first round knockout here. Definitely the A side for sure. I mean, you're going to hear me saying that a lot. A side, B side. Omiel Brown's definitely the A side. He's getting the favorable matchmaking here. I feel like first round knockout for Omiel Brown. Pretty obvious prediction here. And then, I mean, look for the over-under, see what we get on that line. But yeah, Omiel Brown by first round knockout. Shots to the body, crumbles Orgalho, finishes him with ground and pound. Let's go. All right. And then we got the next fight here. This should be a fun fight. We got Alessandro Giordano versus Nathan Fletcher. So we will start with Giordano. Giordano, he's an Italian fighter. He's been fighting a lot of cans on the Italian regional scene, if I'm going to be honest with y'all. I mean, on the feet, Giordano, he's got good kicks. I will say he's got good power to his kicks, but I will say he is a little low volume on the feet. You kind of see him admire his work. Doesn't really throw too many combinations. I mean, like I said, he's fighting cans on the Italian regional scene, so it's like kind of hard to take much away from him. And I mean, I will say against the Percy Herrera fight, he kind of didn't really address kicks that well. So not that Nathan Fletcher is going to be the one exploiting the leg kicks, but in regards to the grappling, which is probably going to be the deciding factor in this fight, I mean, I haven't really seen Giordano tested in the grappling. So it's like it's kind of hard to say what the fuck his grappling's going to look like. But kickboxer first. And Nathan Fletcher, he ain't going to play no games with you. He lives and dies by the takedown. Nathan Fletcher, he's got good double leg, good trips against the cage. Nathan Fletcher, he's coming off a loss with Dominique Wooden. That was for the belt back in 2021. So, Nathan Fletcher's taken 1 year off. And, I mean, you got to assume that he's getting a lot better. I mean, how old is he? He's still pretty young. I feel like 24 years old, training out of Next Gen with Patty Pimlin and company. And, I mean, I like this kid, man. He's got good takedowns. He's very, very good at taking the back. That's his move. If you give up your back in exchanges to Fletcher, he's taking that neck home. And, I mean, I feel like this fight's pretty binary to break down, and Fletcher's probably going to get takedowns here. I feel like Fletcher's an easy one here. You got Nathan Fletcher. Probably going to get the first round submission. I feel like double leg, back take, fight's over, Giordano, decent prospect, but it's like you're beating cans on the Italian regional scene. I can't bet you against Nathan Fletcher. And, I mean, I don't know if I talked about the recent fight, but Omiel Brown, the odds are minus 400 for him. I mean, that makes sense. And then we got Nathan Fletcher. I believe he is minus 550. Yeah, minus 550 plus 400 return on Giordano. I mean, I agree with those odds. Maybe look to see what the under is. I mean, I feel like Nathan Fletcher is probably going to get him out of there in the first round with a submission. Yeah, but easy one there for Fletcher. All right, and we got the next fight here. This is probably this is probably one of my bigger bets of the weekend. We got Adam Meskini versus Emrah Sonmez. So we'll talk about Adam Meskini. The UAE Warrior commentators gave him the nickname, the Moroccan Zombie. And you might say, why is he called the Moroccan Zombie? He's French. I guess he's from Morocco. But in this fight against Jalal Al-Dalaj, Adam Meskini got dropped not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 times in the fucking first round. He got dropped 4 times in the first round. I think he broke his foot too, if I'm correct. And somehow came back in the second round, timed a beautiful uppercut. I will say it was a good uppercut, cheap, nice uppercut up in the pocket, but slept the jaw. But don't let that fool you. Dude was getting dropped silly in the first round 4 times. Fucking nuts. But I respect him. Takes a lot of heart to battle through that and win the fight. But I guess that's why they call him the Moroccan Zombie. But I mean, there's only 2 fights I've seen of his film, and it was the Dejah fight, and I believe it was the Sonmez fight. He showed a little grappling in that fight. I think he got an upper body trip takedown, and on top, he was fine. I think he got not 100% sure. It might have not been that fight, but it was one of the fights. He got I could have sworn it was an arm triangle or something along the lines of that, but it might have actually been this planche fight, but that's irrelevant. But his grappling, it's okay, but he's not a grappler first. He's a French kickboxer, on the feet. He kind of likes to dance around, throw. I guess he's got decent kicks. That's really about all to his game. He showed a little clinch knees in the Dejah fight, but yeah, Meskini's trying to dance around, kick you from range, and kind of just make it look pretty. And in regards to this matchup here, what are French people good at? They're good kickboxers, but how do you beat a French kickboxer? Take him the fuck down. And that's what I think Emrah Sonmez is going to do. Emrah Sonmez, he's definitely, like I said, I think he's A-side. Oh, no, he is A-side. He's training out of Great Britain top team. Good gym. Training with some good fighters. You got Nathaniel Wood, Dominique Wooden as well. Head coach Brad Pickett. So, I like to think Sonmez is in good company. He's definitely in the inner circle of fighters there. And Sonmez, he's fought in Cage Warriors. He fought Liam Giddens and Aiden Steven. And then we saw him take a little bit of a hiatus for a little bit. But in the Giddens and Steven fight, he did lose both. But it's not like it's not competitive. Like he's given Aiden Steven and Liam Giddens are both solid fighters for the Cage Warriors scene. And he was able to. I thought he could have won the Steven in the first round. I thought he could have won that. It was very competitive though. The Giddens fight, he won the first round, I think. And what he did, he took him down. He's got good double leg takedown, good single leg, and he's got good judo throws as well. I will say, if you're up in the clinch against him, he likes that little judo toss, hip toss. And on top, he's pretty heavy on top. He's more than fine with sitting in your full guard, kind of just riding you out. On ground and pound, he's got decent ground and pound. I've seen him throw some cheeky elbows in full guard, especially I think it was against the Souza guy. There's not the full fight. I don't have the tape for the full fight, but I saw some highlights. He was able to, I think he hurt him with some knees in the clinch to the head and was able to take him down, dragged him down, got some ground and pound, hit him with some nice elbows and was able to finish the fight. He did fight Souza twice, but I think allegedly, he beat Souza the first time. I think it was knocked him out on the feet, and then Souza asked for the rematch for some reason. So, I guess Sonmez took the fight because it's, I guess, an easy win, man. But on the feet, Sonmez got a decent – he likes that 1-1-2. I've seen him land that a couple of times. He likes that double jab followed by the straight. And, he's got decent body kicks as well. But, I feel like for Sonmez here, he should look to take down Meskini. I feel like that's the path to least resistance here. And it's kind of hard not to pick Sonmez because he's got more paths to victory, 100% the more well-rounded fighter. And it's just Meskini's path to victory, I guess, is a cardio dump from Sonmez. Because I will say in the Giddens and Steven fight, he did slow down as the fight got extended. But you can't side with Meskini just based on the fact that his opponent might get tired. While they're fresh, Sonmez is gonna win fucking minutes. Sorry, Sonmez is gonna win minutes when they're fresh. Trains at a great gym, so I think he's more than prepared for this. And I mean, it's hard not to bet Sonmez here. I got an average line of about like minus 120. I think he's like minus 140 right now. Honestly, still would probably bet that. I just think it's Sonmez all day. We're gonna go Emrah and Sonmez. We'll go we'll go unanimous decision. I think he's able to take down Meskini the first 2 rounds pretty easily. Third round might get a little bit hairy if he gets a little tired, but I don't think Meskini is a big finisher. I mean, his best aspect is that he dances around and has decent kicks. It's not enough for me to pick him in this fight. And then we got the next fight here. We got Helio Hernandez versus Chasen Blair. So we got Helio. We'll start with him. A lot of unknowns in this fight. And I mean, Helio, he claims to be he has a karate background, I guess. I think his Instagram bio said he was like a 7-time karate champion. Don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean. But there's literally no tape on him for any of these 2 fights. And I saw on his Instagram, it looked like he won, I think it was the ADCC Portugal Open. He won that recently. I believe he's a blue belt. So he's not like a black belt or none of that shit. But good tidbit to know there, as there's not much information on him. So you kind of have to do Instagram stalking to get all the information you need. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of question marks with Helio. Can't really give you a good breakdown on him because we've never seen him fight. But Chasen Blair, he is a former D1 All-American, not All-American, sorry, D1 wrestler at University of North Carolina. And right now, he's actually at Next Gen MMA with Nathan Fletcher. But he got brought in there to be Paddy Pimlet's main training partner to help with his wrestling. And he's been with them. I think he's been with them for a couple months now, probably since I want to say since Paddy's fight with Vargas. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, he's training with Paddy Pimlet on a day in and day out basis. Not bad training partners up there. So you would think theoretically he's probably getting the favorable matchmaking here. Chasen Blair's probably the A side. When in regards to his game, he's got a good power double leg, as you would expect from the D1 wrestler. On top, he's heavy on top. I will say his ground and pound is a bit lacking at times in submissions. I don't really see much of a submission game from him. But I will say in some of his fights, especially the Craig fight, the one he lost recently, he kind of likes to play around on the feet, kind of plod forward. He's got decent overhands. He's the first 2 wins in his career. He knocked out, I forget which one it was. I want to say Oliveira. He knocked him out viciously, dude. He's got a lot of power in his hand. So if you could clip that overhand, right, you're going down, my man. But yeah, I mean, the Jeffrey Craig fight, I mean, Blair didn't really go to the takedowns in that fight. I mean, I don't think he really could. Craig's a good fighter. He was able to get up when he did. I think he got taken down momentarily. But Craig was just able to dance around, kick at the legs, just kind of be like a Conor McGregor type style. It's kind of what it reminded me of. But yeah, I mean, not the worst loss in the world. This Jeffrey Craig dude's not the worst. But I mean, a lot of unknowns here. I think if I recall correctly, Chasen Blair is I want to say minus 275, minus 300. I mean, I understand why he's the favorite, but it's like I can't bet that, man. There's too many fucking unknowns. Like I'd be more willing to take a dog shot on Helio Hernandez, just kind of bet into the mystery box. But yeah, I mean, for prediction's sake, you kind of have to go Chasen Blair just because you've seen him fight Helio. We don't know we don't know what fucking fighter's gonna show up. But yeah, we're gonna go Chasen Blair, I guess, by first round finish. No clue what the fuck's gonna happen in that fight. And now we got probably one of the closest fights on the card, in my opinion. Justin Berry versus Dario Bellandi. We'll start with Dario Bellandi. I think he's a former IMMAF European Circuit champion. So he was 12-2, I believe, for his amateur career. So it's not the worst. He's got a lot of amateur experience, but his pro fights, he did lose to Will Curry in 2020. But I mean, that fight was kind of telling. I mean, he's not that good. I mean, Bellandi was kind of just getting taken down at will. Didn't really have much to offer from Curry. Or he kind of got up, got taken back down. He got put through the ringer in that fight. And Will Curry, he's a solid prospect, so it's not like I'm going to hold that loss against him too much. But we saw in the Ars Ariste fight, his last fight with Cage Warriors. It was a very mediocre performance. Like the first round, very close. Like nothing much happened. I think it was just Bellandi was just plodding forward. He's got decent leg kicks, I guess. But I mean, Artise took him down in the second round. Gave Bellandi all the time to set up the triangle. Had no defense for the triangle at all, and he was just able to snag up the triangle. But Bellandi's not the worst guy. But he's not really an athlete. He's like a D plus athlete, I would say. But he's kind of slow. I'm not gonna lie. But I mean, he's not fighting no world beater either. Justin Berry is a young fighter as well. He's 34 years old, and he's from the Cage Warriors scene in California. He's got good kickboxing. I will say, if you look at his record, you see he's got a bunch of crescent kick finishes. That is his move. Watch the Allen Benson fight if y'all want. Amazing finish, I will say. And he set up that crescent kick really nice. But Barry, what does he do well? He's got dynamic kicks. I think he likes to switch stances a lot. And his lead leg kicks are nice, but like he's very low output at times. Can dance around and just try to win a low output striking decision. I mean, I was saying this Kanakoa fight, his recent one, he had all the chances to finish. The dude just couldn't put his foot on the gas. I feel like a lot of that had to do with Barry's cardio wasn't. I mean, he was a little tired in that fight. I'm not gonna lie. So his cardio, bit of a question mark. But I will say his kickboxing's decent enough. I think he will be the better striker in this matchup. But for Bellandi, I think Bellandi is going to be shooting takedowns here. I've seen it Bellandi go for double legs, but he just doesn't have the physicality or the skill to finish those. So it's a close fight, 100% 50-50. And I did bet Barry when the odds, because it was weird. The odds opened yesterday, and Bellandi got as high as like minus 350, something like that. I bet Barry plus 275. The odds have come down a lot. I think right now it's minus 130 for Bellandi, like plus 105, plus 110 for Barry. I mean, that makes sense. I still would line it as a pick 'em. I'll go with Barry just because he's got I've seen him grapple before, but I think he's the better kickboxer, and it's like I'll take the underdog in a fight that I think is 50-50. Why not? We're gonna go Justin Barry by decision. And then we got a great fight here, flyweight title fight. We got Shajidul Haque versus Sam Creasey. All right, we'll start with Sam Creasey here. Sam Creasey, who's actually the current champ right now for Cage Warriors, he is coming off a win against Stipe Brishik. I don't know how to say that. But that was a good performance from Creasey. Was able to time the right hook, got into the high elbow guillotine. I will say the high elbow guillotine is 100% his move. Hawk's got to be fucking extremely careful about the high elbow guillotine. Creasey got a nice one. You saw against Shanks. Luke Shanks a couple fights back. He got the same guillotine as well. But he did lose to Luke Shanks in the rematch. And what I will say about Creasey is he's kind of got that karate stance. He kind of likes to bounce in and out, in and out, in and out. And, he's got a good counter right. I mean, he's trying to time the counter right uppercut. He's got good counter right hook as well. But I will say he is a little low output on the feet. He'll throw a couple. He's got decent kicks as well. But, yeah, on the feet, he's very low output. Like, I don't really see him throw 3-4 punch combinations. But, he's a solid fighter. I've seen him go to the grappling sometimes if he needs to. He's got good rear body lock takedowns. I've seen him go to those. But, he's fighting a good fighter here in Haque. And Creasey, he's never been 5 rounds before. You saw in the Shanks fight that he won by guillotine. That was a competitive fight. It looked like Shanks was honestly taking over as the fight got longer. But Creasey was able, I think he got taken down, was able to he jumped the guillotine, was able to get that. He's got a great high elbow guillotine, which is probably my cause for concern for Haque because, sometimes he can leave his neck out there. But we'll get to him in a second. And then you saw in the second Shanks fight, he got caught, was wobbled, and then, he got dropped and finished. Not the best performance there for Creasey, but he is 34 years old, Sam Creasey. So he's getting up there in age. He's probably got a couple more good fights left at flyweight, but it'll be an interesting matchup here. I kind of am leaning the Haque side, and I'll explain why. So Haque is 32 years old, and then we will scroll down to here. In 2016, you see he beat Sam Creasey. So this is a rematch. And I hit up Haque. I'm like, yo, you got any film for the fight? Apparently, there's like no video of the fight, unfortunately. But we do know that he beat Creasey by unanimous decision. And that's kind of how I see the fight going here. I mean, you look at his three most recent losses for Haque. It's Tagir Ulanbekov, Zalga Zumagulov, and Jake Hadley. Those are all UFC guys. And the Zalga's fight was very fucking close, dude. I mean, I don't know if I might have to watch it back, but I thought he could have won it. I might be tripping. But it was a very competitive fight against Tagir. Kind of just got taken down. That's what Tagir does to people. But I mean, he did a good job staying competitive in that fight. It's not like he got finished. He was competitive, got up. But in the Hadley fight, he got caught and knocked out. I mean, I think Jake Hadley's future top 10 in the flyweight division. Very talented fighter. But I mean, he's on a 4-fight win streak right now, and I will say Hawk has been looking good, man. I really like his style. He's got very well-rounded style. It kind of reminds me in a sense of like a budget Dominic Cruz. He's got great footwork. He likes to move in and out of the pocket, pick his shots. I really like his volume. He's got good 1-2, mixes his shots up to the body, decent kicks as well. But yeah, I mean, his footwork's really good. I really love his footwork. Very good fighter. And I love how he can time his takedowns as well. He's not really a power takedown type guy, but he has great timing and he's willing to mix in the takedowns in order to like seal rounds. It's good fight IQ. Hawk definitely does have really good fight IQ. And grappling wise, I mean, he's got a good single leg, good double leg. And if you give him his back, he's gonna hop on the back. I mean, he's decent at controlling. I mean, he's not holding guys down for extended periods of time, but it's like he's good at mixing in takedowns. It's good optics for the judges if you're mixing in takedowns. And I will say, he does get better as the fights go on. You notice in a lot of his fights, he has a lot of late finishes. You see round 4 finish here. So he's been in the championship rounds. He's looked good. Round 3 finish here. And then you see in the Samir Fadin fight, it was a split decision. That was not a split decision. I don't know what the fuck the judges were smoking that night. But he gets better as the fight goes on. He's able to pick up reads on his opponents. And I think 5 rounds here heavily favors Hawk, especially because Creasey, like you saw in the fight against Shanks that got extended, like he was slowing down a little bit. But I will say for Hawk, on those takedowns, please watch the neck for the high elbow guillotine. And honestly, I feel like Hawk's going to put the volume on Creasey. I feel like first round should be competitive. Second round, Hawk's starting to pull away. And I feel like down the stretch, Hawk's just going to put the pressure and the volume on. And I'm going to go with Hawk by unanimous decision. Might get the late round TKO, you never know. But we're going to go with Hawk going 2-0 against Sam Creasey and being the new Cage Warriors champ. Good fight, though. I believe the odds are minus 115 apiece. I bet Hawk yesterday when he was a dog. I think it was like plus 150, something along the lines of that. I played him pretty big. I mean, I feel like at a pick 'em, it's starting to trend to more where I think the line should be. I think Hawk should be the favorite. I really like his skill set. He's a very well-rounded fighter. Good at fight IQ. Just don't get stuck in the high over guillotine, and I think he wins the fight. We're on Hawk by unanimous decision. And then we go to the next fight. This is a funny one. We got Guilherme Cadena versus Darren Stewart. All right. Well, Darren Stewart's on a big skid right now, former UFC guy. I mean, I'm sure all of you are familiar with Darren Stewart. He's beaten Duran Win, Bevon Lewis, Maki Patolo in the UFC. The Kevin Holland fight was a split decision. I thought he could have won that fight. It was a very, very competitive fight with Kevin Holland. But, I mean, you see the fights with Eric Anders and Dustin Jacoby. He just didn't look like he was missing something, man. I don't know. Those aren't the worst opponents. You see Eric Anders, he's doing all right himself right now, and Dustin Jacoby is a ranked light heavyweight. So maybe him fighting at 205 could be a lot of the reason why he was losing those fights. But then can't really make any excuses for the Mick Stannon loss, man. That was rough. Mick Stannon, who's he's not a horrible fighter, but it's like Darren Stewart, you gotta beat Mick Stannon, man. Like he was getting taken down by Mick Stannon. I believe Mick Stannon took his back for the last 2 rounds, and Stewart didn't really have a question. I mean, not a question. He didn't have an answer for that. But, I mean, Stewart, he's solid on the feet. You know, he's got good leg kicks. You know, he's got good power hooks. He's strong in the clinch. Will go to good knees to the body. But, I mean, for this matchup, I mean, it's pretty obvious what Cage Warriors is trying to do. Stewart's the A side. Giving him a very, very favorable matchup here. Okay, we got Guilherme Cadena. I don't think Cadena's good at all. You know, this is his 50th fight, so I respect him for stepping into the octagon 50 fucking times. Mad respect. Something I couldn't do. But Cadena, I mean, he's like, he's striking. He doesn't have any striking. Like, he's very shit on the feet. I'm going to be straight up. Cadena is a guard pulling guy. You know, he'll pull guard. try to reverse you, take your back. That's kind of his move. If he can take your back, that's probably how he wins his fights. But like you look at his record, man. He fought on December 10th, 2 to 3 weeks ago. 1-2 guy, 8-9, 0-0, 2-8. Took a fucking bare knuckle boxing fight. That's funny. 0-0, bro. That's nuts. And you see in his losses, a lot of his losses is when he's like he tries to pull guard or he can't get on top of you. This dude is very quick to take the back door and quit, I will say. So anytime he faces adversity, he's willing to quit. I mean, he's got 19 pro losses for a reason. But Darren Stewart's got to be careful mind his P's and Q's, and I feel like it's a very easy one for Stewart. Even if he pulls guard on Stewart, I don't think Stewart's completely out of the water. Like as long as he can stay on top, like I've seen Cadena quit the ground and pound as well. He'll just shell up and wait for the referee to step in. But I mean, I feel like as long as Stewart doesn't get guard pulled and reversed and his back's taken, I can't see how he doesn't win this fight. But I mean, I saw he was minus 180 yesterday for the odds, but like he got steamed today, I believe. Yeah, minus 325, man. Sucks. I can't even be mad because like you want to play Darren Stewart, like he's good, man. He has some skill, but his fight IQ can be a bit worrisome at times. So I mean, Darren Stewart minus 300, and I mean, it makes sense. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you to put the mortgage on Darren Stewart because I don't think he's trustworthy. But should be a good bounce back spot for Darren Stewart. Hopefully he gets back on track. Would like to see him win. All right, and then we'll go to the next fight here. I think we got Tobias Harila versus Damon Wilson. So this is probably the people's main event. I think this is going to be the best fight of the night, entertainment-wise. Maybe not skill-wise, but actually both these guys are very talented fighters. We'll start with Damon Wilson. So Damon Wilson, what does he do well? Well, apparently he has a wrestling background. I did see it in his first pro fight. He did wrestle in that fight, but recently he hasn't really gone to the wrestling because he really hasn't had to. He's coming off 4 straight finishes. He's got a good pressure style to his game. He's really good at finding the KO. You know, he's trying to set up that right hand. He has a lot of pop in that right hand. He hurts almost every single opponent with his right hand. But I mean, on the feet, he's got good pressure. Like he'll rip to the body as well. It's just constant forward pressure, and he's able to break opponents down. It's good. It's a tough style to deal with, I will say. One concern though for Wilson is he's a bit hittable. I've seen him get cracked against previous opponents in the past. He's able to eat the shots well though. But I mean, if you got your hands down and you're just eating shots, he's there to be countered. That's what I'm gonna say. When he throws his punches, he's there to be countered. I mean, on the feet, he's not the like highest outward dude. You don't see him throwing 3 to 4 punch combinations every fucking time. He's trying to set up the right hand. But I mean, he's a solid fighter. Got decent kicks as well, kicks to the leg as well. I mean, I've seen him go to the knees in the clinch as well. He's not the worst fighter at all. It's just he's not fighting like high level dudes. Like you look at the records, 3-2, 6-4, 1-1, 1-0, 2-2. Like these guys that he's fighting, like watching the fights, like he looks good. He really does. He looks like a world beater. But he's not. He's not fighting good competition, man. And then you go to his opponent, Tobias Harila, who I honestly really enjoy watching. But you see here, he fought Samuel Bark. And in that fight, Tobias Harila kind of got broken. I mean, Samuel Bark would probably beat Damon Wilson's ass as well. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Damon Wilson's better than Samuel Bark. But Harila just didn't really have an answer for the clinch against Samuel Bark. Got ripped up with those knees to the body. But, I mean, you see here, he beat Decky Mackey Allen. Not a bad loss there. Finished him. And I think it was he timed the left hook and was able to finish him with ground and pound. But you also see here, he fought UFC fighter William Gomez. I mean, Harila tried to pressure the whole fight. I mean, that's his style. Harila's a pressure fighter. But against Gomez, he wasn't able to cut off the cage. Gomez was just able to dance around and just piece him apart for 3 rounds. I mean, Harila and Wilson seem like they have very similar styles. They both like to pressure forward. I will say one thing I noticed about Harila is he's good at keeping a high guard, whereas Wilson will kind of just keep his hands down and kind of just be there to be hit. But I'm not saying Harila is very hittable as well. I just think Harila, I mean, he's got good kicks as well, leg kicks. I think whoever wins this fight is probably going to be the one who is getting off on the kicks. I think if you got both these dudes are susceptible to leg kicks. So whoever's kicking the legs first might have the upper hand. And Harila, I mean, I've seen him go for takedowns, but that was against Bark. Bark gets taken down by everybody. And Harila can get taken down himself, but he's really good at fighting his way back to the feet and reversing position. So I don't expect Damon Wilson to be getting many takedowns. And if he does, I don't see him holding down Harila. But I'm going to side with Harila here. Go to the odds. I think Harila is minus 150 right now, something like that. Comeback on Wilson is about plus 130, if I recall correctly. Yeah, minus 145, plus 115. I mean, I bet Harila, I think at minus 150 for like 3 units, I believe. I mean, I like Harila. I like his style. I feel like Wilson's it's too early, man. He's got to fight better competition. But I mean, if the under 2.5's at a good number, I'll probably take that. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you Harila is a lock. I don't think he is. Very hittable fighter. I just think he's gonna break Wilson down the stretch with his pressure. And we're gonna go Tobias Harila with second round KO. All right, and then we got the next fight here. We got Thomas Gronvall versus Wilson Reis. All right, well, this fight's pretty straightforward. Yeah, grappler versus grappler here. Those of y'all might be familiar with Wilson Reis, former UFC top 5 guy at flyweight. Got a title shot against Demetrius Johnson. Got his ass fucking beat, but fought good guys. Demetrius Johnson, Henry Cejudo, Pantoja. Did beat Olka Sasaki. That's a good win back in the day. But, yeah, against Cejudo, Johnson, and Pantoja, those fights weren't even close. There's levels to this. But that's kind of irrelevant. But we see here in this Donny Matos fight, he got knocked down in 16 seconds recently last year. So that kind of is the worry with Reis is his durability is getting up there. It's not the best. He's getting up there in age, 37. Used to fight at flyweight. This fight's at bantamweight. But luckily for him, I don't think Gronvall is going to be the one to exploit the durability issues. I mean, we see here in his last fight for Reis, it was against Jeremiah Labiano. That was a close fight. Reis was able to win by getting off with the grappling as the fight got longer. But on the feet, Reis is like he's a southpaw fighter. Likes to pressure forward, try to land those overhands, looping shots, but he's trying to take you down and get that power double or get that single leg and kind of ride you out from full guard. Or if you give him your back, he's willing to take your back and he can control your back for good amounts of time. So it's an interesting fight here because he is fighting another grappler in Thomas Gronvall. And while Reis is the power takedown guy, I would say Gronvall is more of the finesse takedown guy. You'll see him, he'll go for single leg trips. And I mean, I like his grappling. I mean, he's tenacious with it. He's like a dog on a bone. But, I mean, you'll see if he can't get the single leg, he'll kind of bring you up against the cage and try to chain takedowns together. And if he can't get the single leg, he'll wrap around to the rear body lock. Gronvall is just really good at sticking to you like glue. I mean, he's not going to play around in the striking. That's not what he is. In the fights that he loses, he's more than not able to get off his grappling and kind of just gets pieced apart from range. Or, I mean, I've seen him get reversed and ended up on bottom, but it's a close fight here, man. I can't give you guys a great prediction here. I think it should be maybe slight favor Gronvall only because he is 28. You know, he's the younger fighter. He's probably more he's a better size for this weight class. I think he's going to have a little bit of a height advantage, but I think both these guys size up pretty well. But I'm going to go with the younger, more hungry fighter and Thomas Gronvall, and we're going to go Thomas Gronvall by unanimous decision. And, I mean, the over in that fight's probably the better play. I don't really see a finish happening in that fight, especially if they grapple. I think both these guys are good enough scramblers where it's like no one's going to get finished on the mat. Do worry about Reis's durability, but I don't think Gronvall is the one to expose it. I did bet Gronvall at plus 110. I think right now it's minus 110, minus 120. I mean, I would make him the slight favorite, but it's like I'm not putting a lot of money on that fight. It's a close fight. But we go to the next fight, co-main event. Chuck Campbell versus Modestas Bukauskas. Interesting fight here, to say the least. I mean, Chuck Campbell, he's 38 years old, man. He's getting up there in age, man. He's no spring chicken. He started MMA late in his career. And, I mean, Chuck Campbell, he's all right, man. He throws a jab. I mean, he's very low output himself, but, I mean, he's got decent knees. I mean, you see in his last fight, I mean, he did get a left hook. It was a clean finish, but, this Andy Clamp dude, he's 11-1, but I don't think he's that good. It's just the fight I can't get out of my head. It says a no contest on here because Jairo Chavez tested positive for PDs, but he got knocked out Chuck Campbell got knocked out in the third round in that fight. That was a bad look. I did not like what I saw in that fight. Chuck Campbell got really tired as the fight went on. It's not a good performance there from Chuck. And then in the Elijah Harris fight, he won that, but like Elijah Harris fucking sucks, man. No offense, but he's not fighting good. I don't think he's fighting the best talent, and it's like he's very low output himself. So it's like it's not like he's putting on volume clinics against these guys. I mean, he trains at AKA. I don't know who the fuck's at AKA right now, but I mean, he's got decent takedowns. I don't think he's gonna be taking down Modestas here, but he got decent takedowns if he needs them. But I mean, he's just too low output for my liking, and it's like cardio. I mean, the Trey Williams fight. I mean, he did go to a unanimous decision, but I mean, Trey Williams is all right. He's not a fucking world beater at all, but I do worry about Chuck's cardio, especially considering this is 5 rounds, and I don't know if he's gonna get a finish here. So it's like you got to trust Chuck to win 3 out of the 5 rounds here. Could happen, but I don't see it in this fight. I mean, we know Modestas Bukauskas, however the fuck you say it. He was in the UFC. He was 1-3. Beat Andre Miguelitis with those Travis Brown style elbows, and then you see here in his fight against No Sigla, he was for the Cage Warriors belt back in the day. Got the Travis Brown elbows as well. But yeah, it's pretty clear. Modestas is the A side here, man. I will say in the Mokel Olajayshik fight, I thought he personally could have won that fight. It was a split decision, very, very close fight. And you see what Mikal is doing right now. Not a bad loss to have. I'm all I'm gonna say. And then in the Khalil Roundtree fight, it was competitive in the first round. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you he was getting his. It was a close first round. I mean, Bukauskas has decent lateral movement. You know, he's got decent spinning attacks. But I will say a lot of his issues can be he never wants to go first in exchanges. He's always looking to counter. Not the most high output type guy either, but he likes to kind of dance around, kick you from range. I mean, in the clinch, he's kind of strong in the clinch, I guess. And I mean, it's hard not to side with Modestas here. And then you talk about the Lee Chadwick fight. He won that fight recently. Don't get me wrong, it was a greasy fight. Lee Chadwick's a vet, though. I mean, he's a 50-fight vet. But I mean, it was not a best look going to decision with Lee Chadwick. But I mean, Chuck Campbell, at least Lee Chadwick, like when he's on the feet, like he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna knock you the fuck out, ho hum, meat and potatoes." But Chuck Campbell does not provide that. I mean, they size up pretty equally. I would say Chuck Campbell wins a lot of his fights by having the length and the range. But we got Modestas here. He's 6'3", 78. I think Chuck Campbell's got like a 1-inch height advantage. That's about it. But it's like I don't see it, man. I don't rate Chuck Campbell that highly, man. And then you look at the odds, Modestas minus 245, man. I don't know. I don't know why he's not minus 500. I'm gonna be straight up with y'all. I don't see how he doesn't win this fight. I mean, what does a Chuck Campbell win look like? Decision? I don't see him winning 3 rounds, man. You look at the Chavez fight. Death gas, man. That was such a bad look, man. I know Chavez was on the juice, but it's like you're losing the gyro. Chavez, man. Come on. But I mean, Modestas, he's butt buddies with the fucking Cage Warriors owner. They love him there. Pretty clear what the fuck they want to do here. They want to give him an easy win. Hopefully get him back in the UFC. Maybe he might need one more fight outside the UFC before he gets in. But yeah, I'm gonna go Modestas Bukauskas by 3rd-round KO. I will say, even if it goes to decision, like I feel like Modestas, I mean, I wouldn't say Cage Warriors rigs the scorecards, but he's definitely gonna have the hometown crowd on his side. That's all I'm gonna say. So I mean, he might get a favorable decision if the fight's close. But that takes us to the main event. Probably the best fighter on the card here in Christian Leeroy Duncan, to be honest. There's not much of a surprise there, but he's fighting Jesse Taylor, JT Money. And those of y'all might be like very familiar with Jesse Taylor, and for good reason. He used to be on The Ultimate Fighter. You remember that one season where he made it to the finals? I think he went to Vegas. He went to like a casino, got really drunk, and then started causing a fucking scene, and then Dana kicked him off the show. Yep, that's Jesse Taylor, and he did come back for the Ultimate Fighter comeback season. Well, he won the whole thing, but it's weird because he never ended up fighting in the UFC. I don't know what happened to him. But, I mean, you see in his run on the Ultimate Fighter, he beat Mehdi Baghdad, Haider Hassan, James Krause, the man himself. and Diego Lima. And he beat Diego Lima in the finals. That was a good fight. He was able to take down Lima and just control him from on top. I mean, Jesse Taylor in his prime got good takedowns. He's got good single leg, good double leg. Very, very heavy on top. And if you give up your back to Jesse Taylor more than not, he's going to take home that neck. But, I mean, this is in his prime, man. You look at this 2017, man. That's 5 years ago, man. In his prime, maybe he beats Christian Leeroy Duncan. But even then, dude, he's a welterweight. Or at least he fought in welterweight back in the day. And you see here on his he took some grappling matches in the past 5 years as well. I believe he's like 2-5 in his grappling matches in the past 5 years. So it's like for someone that's a grappler first, how you losing all these grappling matches, man? I'm gonna tell you why. Because he's getting old. Father Time is undefeated, sadly. But I mean, you see here he got 2 fights last year in 2021. That was a year ago. You know, he's beating 18 and 47, 22 and 17. So he's fighting regional sheen jobbers. Like, I mean, good for him. I guess he's still fighting, but it's like Christian Leeroy Duncan, man. This dude's another animal, bro. So we got Christian Leeroy Duncan. I will say, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I mean, he gets taken down in a good amount of his fights, but it's like he look against like he fought Will Curry twice. He got taken down by Will Curry. And in the Jadi Milan fight, he got taken down in that fight as well. But he always does a good job of staying safe on the ground. Like I don't unless Jesse Taylor finds the back in the first round, I don't see how Christian Leeroy Duncan doesn't win here. I mean, he does get taken down, but he has a good awareness on the ground. I think Christian Leeroy Duncan, there's a reason why people try to take him down because you don't want to stand with this dude. I think Christian Leeroy Duncan is UFC caliber. As long as he works on the takedown defense, he should be he's honestly a top 15 talent in the middleweight division. On the feet, dude, this guy is very, very dynamic. He's got a lot of dynamic kicks in his arsenal. See him set up a lot of his finishes with a flying knee, and he's got great elbows in the clinch as well. Like Christian Leeroy Duncan, he's a solid fighter, man. On the feet, I just really like his karate style. He darts in and out, good straight shots. Loves his spinning kicks, man. There's just a lot to like about him, and like his grappling's like solid too. I've seen him get submissions before, and it's like you can really see like watching all his Cage Warriors fights. The dude is evolving, man. He's getting a lot better, and I just think it's a matter of time before we see him in the UFC. And I mean, I don't think there's much to this fight. I mean, Christian Leeroy Duncan's in his prime right now. He's 27 years old. Jesse Taylor's 37, 38, and it's the Father Time's undefeated, man. We got Christian Leeroy Duncan and still this Saturday. So I mean, it's a good day of fights. We got Team USA versus Team Europe. I want to prediction. I think Team Europe is going to probably get more wins, but honestly, pretty easily. But we will see. And I'll go to the betting tips real quick. I'll touch on these because I have a couple bets myself. I played. We'll start from the top. So Christian Leeroy Duncan, I didn't play him, but if I were to parlay, I'd probably do Christian Leeroy Duncan, Modestas, Bukauskas, and Nathan Fletcher. I feel like that's a good parlay here. And then you got I played Modestas Bukauskas straight up. I played him at minus 300. It's minus 245 right now. I don't know why the line went down. I personally would line Modestas at minus 500. I just don't see how he loses this fight. If he lose, the way he would lose a fight is if he's fighting someone that has output, and Chuck Campbell just doesn't have the output. I mean, maybe I'm not giving him enough credit. I just think Modestas is being brought in to win. They want him to win, and I just don't. I feel like the line should be minus 500. But yeah, Bukauskas, Fletcher, Duncan parlay. Don't mind that. If you want to add another leg, Omiel Brown, not the worst leg to add. I mean, I know some people might want to parlay Samuel Bark. I mean, I understand why he's a hot prospect right now, but I can't play him at minus 550. But in regards to straight bets, I have a couple straight bets as well. I played Haque at around dog odds. I mean, he's minus 115 right now. I still would line him as like a slight favorite. But at dog odds, it's like if he gets back to dog odds, I wouldn't have been putting more money on him. I just think he's the more well-rounded fighter with more tools to win. And my biggest bet was Emrah Sonmez. I got him at a bunch of different lines, but I got an average of like minus 120. I just think Sonmez is he's fighting at a better gym. He's got great training partners, and it's like if he goes to the grappling, I feel like he wins this fight pretty easily. Meskini 6-1 fighting I mean, cans. Let's be real with it. He's not fighting the best talent. I mean, it's not like Sonmez is fighting elite level fighters either, but at least he's training with elite fighters on a daily basis. Adam Meskini is like it's a French kickboxer, man. But what do you do to French kickboxers? Take him down. So I did play a lot on Sonmez. I probably played too much than I should have, but I like the spot, man. I have a good feeling about that one. And another straight bet. I did play Tobias Harila for -150. I think I put 3 units on him. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a lock at all, not at all. But in a fight that I think Tobias Harila is probably the more experienced, I would say the more defensively sound fighter too. I think he's gonna win this one. So I played him. And then another straight bet I had was Thomas Gronvall. I played him at +110. I think he's currently -110 right now. I just think he should be the slight favorite. It's more of a narrative on play the younger, more hungry guy, and I feel like he could maybe get takedowns over Reis, who might be a little bit past his prime. And I'm trying to think of any more bets. Well, I'm waiting to see if we can get some over unders from Bet Online. If we do, I would look at the under in the Bark fight, the over in the Gronvall fight, maybe under in the Harila fight versus Wilson if we get a good number on that, and maybe the over in the Bellandi versus Justin Berry fight could be a good overplay. And I mean that's about it for you guys. If you guys have any questions about the fights, feel free to comment. Looking forward to this weekend. Hopefully we can make some money, baby, to start the new year. Let's fucking go, baby.